absolutely gorgeous views. Really beautiful place. Right, not in the heart of Lisbon, but close to the heart of Lisbon. So not too bad. This is my suite here at the Holiday Inn Lisbon. You can see the bathroom. Pretty decent. This is pretty much it. They call it a suite. I would call this a hotel room. It is spacious though, I'll give them that. So not bad. This was 12,500 points for IHD, so it didn't cost me any money whatsoever, just some points. And I'm not sure what city square this is. I gotta look it up. You can see this interesting statue in the center of it. And this is the Holiday Inn that I'm staying at here in Lisbon. My room is on the 9th floor overlooking the statue, so right in the middle. Pretty good property actually. I'm pretty impressed. Heading to the metro station to head down to the riverfront here in Lisbon, or the estuary front. It's just right here. It's €1.50 to get all the way down there, so I think it's 10 stops in total to get to the end. So I'm just taking a walk along the estuary here in downtown Lisbon. This is Caixa de Sodré, I think it's how it's pronounced. And it is kind of a waterfront area to relax on, but it's actually kind of dilapidated at this point. Probably 100 bottles of beer have been smashed along the waterfront, so it's just a dump, to be honest. But beautiful views of the estuary. So it's always a pretty relaxing walk heading down this way towards the main plaza. That's coming up here just on my left in about 300 meters or so. And that's the Plaza de Comercio, or the commercial plaza. Yeah, I really enjoy Lisbon. It's one of my favorite cities in Europe. It's very laid back. The food is excellent here as well. Hoping to go down here to the Plaza de Comercio, see the old city gates here, and then make my way up towards Rossio station, one of the major subway stations here in downtown Lisbon. It's a good 1 kilometer walk through the heart of the old town district. So this is pretty impressive. These balanced rocks, basically, that people have assembled along the shore of the estuary. So I'm right at the shore of the estuary right now. You can see the action of the waves from the ocean pushing in the tide here. So this is the Plaza de Comercio, or the commercial plaza, the largest city square here in Lisbon. You can see it has some very old buildings on its corners there. And you can see right here in the center, at the far end of the square, is the Arco de Rua Augusta, or the Rua Augusta Arch, which is basically the entrance to Lisbon. Through the gate of the Arco de Rua Augusta. So this is Rua Augusta, or Augusta Road, and it goes all the way up to Rossio station. So you can see it's a very beautiful pedestrianized route through the city center. So such as is common all around the Portuguese realms, the streets here are decorated in these beautiful mosaics. So you can see this is a feature of Portuguese culture in general. Lots of things going on, souvenir shops, restaurants that are actually open, which is a good sign. I mean, apart from the masks, some businesses are being closed. You couldn't even tell the difference between the last time I was here pre-COVID. I think the economy is getting a bit better here in Portugal, because I was here 10 years ago and prices have, I'm going to say, near doubled. At least it seems that way. Maybe I just got poorer. And again, if you look down, you can see these beautiful patterned sidewalks. So this is the Santa Justa elevator, and it was built in the turn of the 20th century, basically, to connect the different levels of the city. So you can't see it from here, but there's a platform that basically goes to the top of that street that you can see in the distance. Well, the lineup is a little bit too long, so I'm not going to go up, but I've been up there 2 years ago, and it is outstanding. So if you do come out to Lisbon, make sure you check out the elevator of Santa Junta. This is Fabrica di Nata, which makes pastéis de nata, which are basically the Portuguese egg custard tarts that are so popular. You can see this guy right here, he's preparing them in the window. I'm not going to embarrass him by getting too close, but you can see he's preparing the tarts. I am going to head in and get one. These are the pastéis de nata, Portuguese egg custard tarts. Really cool. This is the signature dessert of Portugal. This was €1, so really inexpensive. They sell them by the piece or by the dozen, it seems. But very, very popular shop. It's kind of a revolving door to enter. We're going to try the Portuguese pastéis de nata, a Portuguese egg custard tart. Looks really good. Really good, sweet. There's a bit of saltiness in there with the butter. Flaky pastry. It's one of the best desserts you can get. So it's a mix of sweet and savory, and well worth €1 for a snack while you're walking downtown. If you find yourself here, which you will if you visit Lisbon, make sure you dip into Fabrica Nata. So you can see there's some beautiful historic buildings around downtown Lisbon. Right there in the center is the Camo Convent on the top of the hill, and that's a old Gothic church that was destroyed in the 18th century by fire, and it's ruins that lie there on the top of the hill. This beautiful square in the heart of Lisbon is the Rocio Square. And Rocio is just the nickname for their former king, King Dom Pedro IV. Beautiful patterned mosaic work all along the walkway here in the plaza. I was reading that this is one of the major city squares in Lisbon since the Middle Ages, so it goes back a long way. So this is the Plaza Figueira, and if you look over here to the top of the hill, you'll see the castle of St. George. And this castle is 1,000 years old, so it's from the 11th century. Just wandering still through the Baixa district, or the lower district of Lisbon. I've been up for a good 36 hours at this point, so I do need my rest, and I'm feeling it at this point. No interest in sightseeing. So I'm basically half asleep while I'm walking around here, so I can't really enjoy it. Better to get to the hotel, get some rest, and then maybe I'll have some time tomorrow morning to poke around a bit more. Overall, hey, I'm not going to complain about a layover in Lisbon. It's a beautiful place. It's too bad to see everything shut down as much as it is. Beautiful views of Rocio Square at night with the National Theatre behind me. That is shameful but cute. It's about 6 or 7 stops, I believe, from here to the hotel. Not too bad. And then a 700-meter walk, so 9 minutes or so. So as you can see, the Lisbon Metro is actually pretty widespread. Goes through 4 corners of the cities. There's 4 lines in total, and then the suburban railway. So I'm right over here right now, and my hotel is at Alameda. It's on a really reduced schedule, so I'm talking every 5 to 10 minutes to wait for trains, so it's pretty slow. Well, good morning from the Holiday Inn in Lisbon, Portugal. So today's goal is to get down to the Torre de Belém, which is the Belém Tower, and that marks the kind of launching off point for several of the European expeditions that took place during the Age of Exploration. It was actually built back in the Renaissance era in the 16th century, so around just after the time of Columbus. So it's very historic. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's protected. And go check out the sites there before I have to head back to the hotel here, grab my luggage, and off to the airport to head to the Azores for my second trip there. The first time vlogging, but the second trip there. And I loved my first trip 2 years ago, so I can't wait to go back and explore the islands in more detail. Well, I completely lost track of time there on the bus, and I actually missed my stop. But as fate would have it, the bus passed this beautiful monastery, the Monasterio di Geronimo, which is absolutely stunning Renaissance architecture. It literally dropped me off right there. So I didn't even do enough research to know this existed, so it's definitely a nice surprise. So this monastery opened in 1495, so 3 years after Columbus set out on his journey. Absolutely incredible Renaissance architecture and early Renaissance. Beautiful. So this is late Gothic in its form. And I guess it was secularized, turned over to the state in the early 19th century. Really impressive building. So this beautiful park is the Plaza di Imperio, or the Imperial Plaza. And it is definitely a showpiece. It backs right onto the monastery that we were just at. And the river Tagus, the estuary, is right there. So you can see another one of these beautiful mosaic cobblestone works in the center of the plaza. Absolutely beautiful. And the monastery there in the background. That's the suspension bridge that connects basically the south half of Portugal to the north half. And Setúbal is right across the estuary here. So if we look down this way, that is the open Atlantic now. You can actually see it as the coast starts to fade over there. This here is the Padrão de Descobrimentos, or the Father of Discovery Monument. And it is dedicated to Prince Henry the Navigator of Portugal, one of the first European explorers in general. Vasco da Gama followed him as probably the most famous Portuguese explorer. If you're not quite aware of the history behind Portuguese exploration and conquest, just off the top of my head, São Tomé and Príncipe, Angola, Mozambique are all major Portuguese colonies in Africa. And then, of course, other colonies like Goa in India, Macau in China, and Malacca in Malaysia are some of the biggest, along with, of course, Brazil. So I'm heading down to the Torre del Belém, or the Belém Tower, which you can see right there in the center. Built as a gateway to the city by the Portuguese royalty to welcome back their explorers to the country. Much different from the more modern historic gates that we saw yesterday. Didn't expect to see this here in Portugal, but an authentically Canadian poutine truck. Really random. Very strange to see that here. This incredible structure is the Renaissance era Torre del Belém, or the Belém Tower, built in 1519 to mark the beginning of the Age of Exploration here in Portugal. Absolutely incredible. So this was the gateway to the city where all of the Portuguese expeditions would set out and return to. You can see it is an incredible building with that castle-like bastion surrounded by that little fort. And this actually was built on an island in the Tagus River. So at one point, I guess the ground that I'm standing on was actually in the center of the river, but the river has changed its course since then in the past 500 years. But yeah, this building is exactly 501 years old. Incredible. So getting some good shots here of the Torre de Belém. You can see the only difference between visiting it now and, before the era of COVID is this. Nobody is allowed to actually approach it at this point. So it is a very impressive historical structure. It's too bad it's not open to actually go inside. You can see just the wave action here too, like I was describing yesterday. It's so close to the ocean right there, and all these waves are moving on in. So Transportation's actually a little bit challenging in this area, so I ended up calling an Uber, and he's just arriving right now. So I took a little hop over to the Vasco da Gama Tower, which is this impressive building here. It also has a 5-star hotel that I got dropped off at. It was a little bit awkward because I wasn't staying there. It almost looks like a scene out of Dubai here. So I'm back in my room with about 20 minutes left till checkout. So I'm gonna be rushing here, but it was nice to have a morning here in Lisbon with the extended checkout till 2 p.m. and then race off to the airport to fly to the Azores.